So today we are going to start on the Bourrée, the new piece for today, and we're going to have a look at the first 12 bars of the piece. Okay. So to start with, we can check the key that it's in. So there are no sharps or no flats, and it also has the accidental G, so we're going to be playing in the key of A minor. So it's always a good idea just to review the scale before you play. So if you play through your A minor scale a couple of times, this will give you a little bit of a feel for the piece. If we check the time signature, we can see our time signature is 2-2. So it's 2 minim beats per bar. So to make it a little easier, we're still going to count to 4 instead of counting 1, E and up. We'll still count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So for today, we're going to look at each hand separately because it's the first time that we are doing it. So let's start off with the right hand. Okay. With this piece, it's really important to take note of the fingering, so make sure you double check the fingering in there. And the other really important thing, especially for this part, is the staccato and the slurs. So if we have a look at the right hand, we're going to start nice and slowly. And we want to make sure for each group of notes we've got staccato, staccato, and then a tenuto, which we need to make sure is held for the full length. And we can do this by making sure our first two are very short, and then coming down really heavily on the third one, like this. Okay. So we want to bounce on the first two and then come down heavy. And this is repeated for the first couple of bars. Okay, so make sure it's short, short, heavy, and the full length of the note for all of those groups of notes. Okay. After this, we go into our slurred section, so we need to make sure that there's a big contrast between our slur and our staccato. Also double check your fingering here because the hand position does change around quite a lot. So really slowly, okay, we want to make sure it's really smooth, okay, and double check you've got your C sharp for the first one and then a natural for the second part. So. And from there we go into a similar slurred phrase. Make sure your D before the slur is also staccato. Okay, so this should be nice and short. Okay. So the next 3 or 4 bars follow the same pattern. Okay, so always make sure your crotchet before your slur is nice and staccato, and then your slur section should be a real contrast to this and should be really smooth. In bar 8, okay, make sure you pay attention to your second G. Okay, make sure you play it as a sharp. Okay, so if we go from the end of bar 6, we have. Make sure in bar 10 you remember to put your thumb underneath, otherwise your hand position will be in the wrong spot. It will make it really difficult for the next 2 bars. Okay. From the end of bar 10 and then 11 and 12, make sure again that your F is a short staccato and that the others are nice and smooth, but make sure you come up in between of the 2 slow sections. So. Make sure your last note is really forte and make sure you hold it the full length. Okay, so looking a little bit at the left hand, okay, the left hand also is lots of staccatos and lots of slurs. Okay, so make sure if it's not under a slur that you should play it staccato. Okay. So all your notes in your left hand for the first line should be nice and short, but make sure you still have the value of the whole note. So starting from the beginning. complete bars 1 and 2. Okay, our second C, again, make sure this is really stressed and make sure you hold it for the full length. Okay. So similar to the right hand, your first two should be staccato, and then you can come down really hard on the second C. Okay. So nice and light for the first couple. The left hand then mimics the right hand with the slurred sections, and again make sure you pay attention to your fingering. So from bar 4, so that was from bars 4 through to 8. Okay. Just mimicking the right hand, so a little bit back and forth, but the same sort of style as what we already looked at with the right hand. Okay. In bar 9, it changes a little bit to how you have 3 notes that are generally slurred. Okay. Make sure at the end of the slur that you lift your hand before you come down on the next note. Okay. So for example, in bar 9, starting with our A, we have up, down, 1. Okay. So your D in bar 10 at the start should also be staccato. Okay. So make sure again that's nice and short, and then we come down again from the top. So for the last few bars, even though the notes are short, make sure you don't rush and make sure you don't go too fast from one note to the next. If you feel like it, you can try adding in some of the dynamics. If not, this can always be added later. So for this week, just try and make sure you get the notes and focus on the slurs and the staccatos rather than the dynamics. The dynamics we'll add in later. So see how you go with that this week, and then next time we can add the dynamics and have a look at the next section.